Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I wanted to talk a little bit about some comics that I don't think people are talking too much about. Now I know in the title it says comic books that no one's talking about. Well, you know, there are probably some people that are talking about them. But from my experience, whether it's on social media or on YouTube, I haven't heard too much about these books. And I grabbed a stack of them because I'm probably going to make several of these in a series. But I do think that you should pay attention to some of these. Now, why would you want to pay attention to them? Well, if you're like me, so there are so many times I'll say I want to get this book. And it's not really high on the list, but eventually I'd like to get to it. So then an announcement comes out, whether it's a TV series, a TV show, whatever it is, movie. Then all of a sudden that book goes up to a price that's much more than it was, and I'm like, oh man, I should have gotten it sooner. And that's why I make videos like this, so that, you know, for those of you that are not really paying attention to certain books, maybe if you pay closer attention to them now, you can get them at a pretty good price, just in case if there's a TV announcement or a movie announcement, so that you don't have to worry about paying those high prices for them, so that you could rest comfortably knowing that they're in your collection and you can be satisfied with that. Because I think a lot of us are focusing too much on the really, really top dollar books that are out of range. And then there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to buy, that's what you want to buy. Sometimes I do that too. But I do think that there are some books that we tend to ignore and then later regret it. Like I have stories about that. Like I ignored getting Usagi Yojimbo #1 when it was $30. Now how much is it? It's just one of those things. So here I got a stack, like I said, and maybe you'll agree with me on some of these things. Maybe you won't, but let's see. Here we have The Power of Warlock. Now, I've talked about Adam Warlock quite a bit, that, you know, hey, you should probably get your Adam Warlock books now because I think they're still relatively affordable compared to what some other books are going for right now, some of the crazy prices. Adam Warlock, you get a pretty decent copy for a pretty good price. Well, if Adam, when Adam Warlock does come out, it might raise the tide on many books. Now, does that mean that some of the other books, like The Power of Warlock #1, are going to go up to ridiculous prices? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that, but it could mean that it goes up to a price that you're not necessarily willing to pay for. And one of those books that you might say, oh man, I should have gotten it when it was cheaper. Okay? So I think that's a book that you might want to look into. I still think it's relatively cheap, in a good grade. All of these, if you get them in a decent grade, I don't mean like 4.0s or 5.0s. There's nothing wrong with 4.0s or 5.0s, but you could still get all of these books, you know, north of 6.0, maybe a little under 9.0 for good prices and in good condition. Now, I mentioned this book before. I think this is another one that not many people are paying attention to when it comes to Adam Warlock. Strange Tales 178. This is the first appearance of the Magus. It's another thing related to Adam Warlock. When Adam Warlock does show up, I think there's going to be a lot of concentration on Fantastic Four 67, Thor 165. Those are the obvious ones. But right now, I think people should be paying closer attention to the Marvel Premiere #1s and books like this, Strange Tales 178, because you can still get them fairly cheap. Here's another one that I don't think too many people are paying attention to. The New Mutants Annual #2. This is the first American appearance of Psylocke. I think a lot of people go for her first appearance, which is what, Captain Britain. I forget which one it is. I don't have it, but you know, and that's fine. I think that's a great book. Might even be a little underrated. It's not necessarily underpriced, but I think that this one right here, New Mutants Annual #2, it's still, you can get a nice grade. Nice 9.0, 9.2 for under $120. This might be worth getting if you really can't get the first real appearance. You get the first American appearance. Here's one, again, I think you get relatively cheap. Real cheap. I'm not talking like $100. I'm talking like maybe $10, $15, $20 in high grade. Web of Spider-Man number 36. This is the first appearance of Tombstone. You know, as all these characters, everyone's trying to get Dr. Octopus, everyone's trying to get the Sandman, all the big villains, Venom. And again, I say there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel that a lot of those books, your average Joe collector is priced out at 3.0s, 2.0s on a lot of those books. So they get a little frustrated that they can't get those right now. But what can I get that's pretty cool, that I can get cheap and that might become something? Well, I think you got to look around. You know, are you looking at characters like Tombstone? Are you looking at characters like Puma? Are you looking at other characters like Chance and all these others? Like, oh, well, I don't, those are, I don't know about those. You never know. They could appear in a movie. They could appear in a TV series in some capacity. Whether they're one and done, who knows? But you can get them right now relatively cheap. Here's another one I think people were ignoring. Incredible Hulk, Future Imperfect. Right? This is the first appearance of the Maestro. If they're going to be opening up the Hulk universe with the She-Hulk TV series and, Hulk's going to still be around, it's not too unbelievable to think that they're going to start introducing some other characters or other versions of characters like the like Maestro here. So you really should pay attention to some of these things. And it's been my experience, a lot of people don't. And then they complain about it later. Like, oh, that book was $20 for the longest time. Well, why didn't you get it then? Here's another character that I think a lot of people are not paying attention to. And he appeared as Marvel Boy in Captain America 217. And then he becomes Quasar in 234, Incredible Hulk 234. Again, there's always rumblings and rumors about Quasar appearing and all that. Well, it's still, you can get nice high-grade copies of those books relatively cheap. What, about $100, a little under $100 if you really, really look. It might be worth looking into, because then you never know what it could be. And then you might have to scratch that off your list of getting books that you want to get. Two more here. This one I've talked about before on this channel, and I can't stress it enough. Some of you may disagree with me, but I don't know. I think this is something that a lot of people are not paying attention to. X Factor number 6, the first full appearance of Apocalypse. And even X Factor 5, I didn't get it with me here, but that's another one. You can get a high-grade copy of this for what, about $100? Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I still think people should pay attention to this, because I do believe that down the line you're going to see Apocalypse. And I know people said, well, Apocalypse was already done. No, he wasn't done. That's a totally different Apocalypse that you saw in X-Men Apocalypse. I think if everything continues to be popular and it really continues to grow, and by the time MCU gets to X-Men, whenever that is, I'm pretty sure you're going to see Apocalypse. And I don't think he's going to be a one-and-done character. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I don't think so. I think they're going to do that character well, and I think he and Mr. Sinister and some others, and of course Magneto, are going to play a crucial role when it comes to X storylines, whether it's on an X-Men show. I think there'll probably be a Disney TV series. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Disney Plus series called X Factor coming out, where they can really flesh out the X-Men so that they're ready to appear in the movies when the movies come out. I think Apocalypse is going to be there. So don't turn your back on Apocalypse just yet, because I think he still has a lot of potential. And the last one, I was mentioning a few moments ago about She-Hulk. When they're really fleshing out the Hulk storyline, when you have She-Hulk and all these other things, what are some characters that are related to them aside from She-Hulk number 1 and Incredible Hulk number 1? What else can we look for? I think that Incredible Hulk 141, the first appearance of Doc Samson, I think this is a little underrated, and I think this is definitely one that has potential. And again, another one, my copy's probably a 6.5, so it's not necessarily too high grade, but you could probably get a 6.5, 7.5 for about $100 to $150 if you're careful. I know sometimes people say, oh, 7.5s are not $100. Well, okay. Sometimes you got to just look and really navigate, use all your sources on where you want to get these books. Like, who are the people you go to? It's possible to still find those prices. Now, later. Who knows? But again, I think every one of these books in this list are definitely books that you should be looking for to add to your collection now before they possibly get too expensive where you're just like, I'm not going to spend this much money on this book, or to hell with this. Might be worth getting now. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'll probably release another one of these videos sometime soon. I got a whole nother list of books to share with you. But I do think that these are definitely books that people are not really paying too much attention to. And maybe you should. Take care, everyone. Be safe.